Hey, welcome. Ed Martin here. What you now know coming up, voter confidence edition. Let me see if I got that up here. Let's see. There we go. Oh, let me see. I got it. I promise. Let me see if I can get it up. There we go. And there you have it. All right. The Daily WYNK voter confidence edition. Come on in, everybody. Come on in. I hope we've been getting an update from the flag campaign. Raise the flag, saythepledge.com. I think in just about 3 days, the first 3 days, we sold about 260, maybe 261 is in my head, flags of all different sizes. So if you go to raise the flag, saythepledge.com, you'll see, click through to General Flynn's America's Future, americasfuture.net, and you can sign up for the Get a Flag. It was great. It's a great program. All right, we're going to talk about France. France had an election over the weekend, and the message out of France should be a cautionary lesson for America, and we'll talk about that in a moment. It's a big, big deal because it shows what I've been saying for months and months and months about the problems with the elections. Whatever the truth is, we still don't know, and a lot of us have real doubts that the elections, we can trust them. So we're going to have to get to the bottom of it. And France is going to show us a way. I'm not sure it's forward. They showed us a way over the weekend to what's happening. So, hey, let's make sure we do the Pledge of Allegiance. And let me go here and put my flag up so we can say the pledge. Join me if you will stand. Where is it? There it is. We'll say the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Now, one of you all told me I should stop doing that because it's if you put that flag up as a graphic, people leave. I hope you didn't leave. I saw some people come on while we're on there, so I hope you join me on the pledge. But all right, here's the deal: voter confidence. Watch what happened in America in the last 5 years. Okay, 2016 election, Donald Trump wins. What happens? Hillary Clinton immediately says the election was stolen. She's joined by big tech and big media, especially big media, Russia. And then we get the Mueller investigation. Big tech, big media, Russia, Mueller investigation, big government. And after about 6 months, Hillary Clinton saying that the election of 2016 was stolen, approximately 80% of all Democrats believed, and still believe today, that the election was irregular, if not stolen. Okay, so that went on. Lots of people on TV all the time in 2017 saying, oh, there's something about that election. We don't know. Of course, the Mueller investigation revealed it was a hoax, but still, that was what people believed in America, which is why you had Kamala Harris and Cory Booker and all kinds of elected officials speaking publicly about the problems of our elections. They were worried about hacking. They were worried about fraud. They were worried about foreign intervention. All those things were identified by the Wharton School of Business at UPenn, by researchers across the country. So we had a voter confidence problem in 2017, okay? 2020, the election happens. A lot of people, me included, had and have questions about how exactly that election went down. There were lots of things about it that were not normal. Now, you can say, well, it was the great COVID breakdown. It was this year. But lots of things, basics of elections, we had questions. Now, you weren't allowed to talk about it. If you talked about it, you were told you were a liar, and you were a big liar. And everybody was put in a position where you're not supposed to mention it. But after about 6 months, about 80% of Republicans think something was wrong with the election. Voter confidence, okay? Voter confidence. Justice Stevens in a decision about 8 years ago, Justice Thomas in a decision a few months ago said something akin to every election system has to not only have a good election, but voter confidence matters. Confidence in the system matters. And when you have processes that change and all, you've got to check on them. So that's my point here, voter confidence. On Sunday in France, they had an election. And a national election, but it was like our off-year election. So it was no presidential race, but lots of local races for mayor and governors of their different respective regions and all. And the French had absolutely anemic turnout, like 30%. And the conversation that's happening in France now is that their republic is broken because the citizens don't believe the system works. Now, I pause to say the French expect in the presidential election less than a year from now that the turnout will come back up. And one of the conversations is how we've nationalized our elections to such an extent that, and I mean, broadly speaking, the West, in France, in America, that the only thing people focus on is the presidential race. They don't really track the other races, even though they're so important. So in France, they have a major problem that their election system, people don't believe it works. Now, again, the French think that there'll be better turnout next year for the presidential election because people will hone in on it. I'm not sure I believe it. In France, the way it's described, again, I haven't been there to talk to people more than just reading a few different places and sort of watching things. What they say is people don't think it matters who they vote for. Get it? People don't think in France it matters who they vote for. All the parties they think are just not serious, not going to help them, not worried about what's going on in the country. That's what they feel. In America right now, we have a problem of voter confidence, and we have a media and a big tech and big government. The Department of Justice is threatening to stop audits and stop investigations. We should have more transparency. And let's be clear, if Republicans cheated, let's get to the bottom of that too. No problem. I'm sure there are some Republicans that cheated. There's got to be. So let's get to the bottom of all of that. But the reality is, if we don't figure out a way forward that gives people confidence, they will not come to vote. And we do start to diminish the interconnectedness of our government. I'm not somebody who says that we should make it mandatory for everybody to vote. If you don't want to vote, if you're not interested or tuned in, I'm not against that. Don't vote. I do think, however, if you're not voting because you don't trust that your vote counts, that it is counted properly, that the system is going to handle it well, and all kinds of reforms that quote unquote reforms that have been pushed in the last few years are designed to create the experience that the system doesn't work. It doesn't have confidence. For example, if you vote 6 weeks before an election, before major issues come to bear, whether it's current affairs, something that happens, or specifics between the candidates, how is that appropriate voting? Again, how does the system work when people say, oh, well, I'm not going to bother voting because I learned this or that? It just is an odd set of incentives to put in place in terms of us knitting together and getting not only good people elected, but confidence in that institution. And let's be clear, throughout our great history, we have had problems of corruption and therefore a lack of voter confidence. It's not new. What is new is the demand by big tech and big media and now big government that we not talk about it. That's new. That's a new thing. Even after 2000, you'll understand why. I think you can see why. When Bush won, there were massive calls to rehab the system. Now, how do we make this better? How do we make sure the system works better? That's because a Republican won. In 2016, lots of calls to fix the system. In 2020, not allowed to talk about it. And again, I get back to this point. The problem is in what we see in France, I fear, is what we could see in 2022, meaning lots of people that care about what's happening, that have a vested interest in wanting to participate, are saying, you know what, I'm not going to bother because the system, I have no confidence in the system, either because Hillary or because of 2020, and I see nothing that's meaningful that will address the things I'm worried about. I don't see any seriousness of purpose by any of the leaders. I see one side, the Democrats, wanting to federalize all the elections and let Pelosi run everything. I see the other side doing some stuff. Republicans are doing some stuff, not much, to be honest. And most of the leaders at the state level are sort of rolled over and rolled into by the establishment, so they don't really want to fight. So most normal voters that are feeling the sense of, hey, I want to participate. I want to feel like the direction that I'm heading and want my vote to head is going to be valued and honored. They're just like, hey, it's not going to work. And that's a problem. That's a problem. I've been saying this for a long time. 2022, the problem isn't that the issues aren't going to be clear. The problem is a lot of voters are going to say, you guys didn't make the system better. I don't feel confident about it. I'm not going to bother. I'm not going to bother. And that's part of the reason why I think that you're seeing the left fight so hard against any real reforms, and I don't know why the Republicans aren't doing a better job in places, but that's what's at stake. Voter confidence. It matters, more than people want to let on. They want to talk about voter integrity. I do too. I see the fraud. I see the problems. But we've got to get to confidence in the system also, or we'll end up like France. And France is teetering on the brink of a disaster. Their policies have been so bad. They have an immigration problem. They're being overrun by Islamic immigration, and they're not able to control it, and they're losing. So, a good way to lose your nation is to not have confidence in the institutions, because guess what? The people with power and money will continue to use their power and money to wield their power for themselves and for the good of their interests, which is not, generally the good of the whole nation. That's my experience of it. So there you have it. So that's a quick look at France and the question of voter confidence. All right. By the way, I'm filling in for Andrea Kay on her program over at The Answer San Diego in the evenings tonight at 9 o'clock East Coast time live. Go to theanswersandiego.com. If you're out on the West Coast and in San Diego, 6 o'clock Pacific time live, filling in for Andrea Kay. So I look forward to that, and I will talk to you soon.